The following is an exclusive presentation of News Radio KMAN, your home for K-State athletics. It's game time. This is The Game on News Radio KMAN.
Well, if you're wanting some Royals baseball tonight, it looks like that may not happen.
Yeah.
So heads up to those that might be listening, and we'll have to move some things around here on K-Man.
Damn, that changes my plans.
Your plans to watch baseball tonight?
Well, that too. Meal planning. Because we won't be out at 5.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
We just added an hour.
So, yeah, we just added an hour. How about that with nothing planned? Yeah, that's great.
Great timing there. Great timing there, Guardians.
Yeah.
Rescheduled as part of a split doubleheader on Monday, August 26th. So tomorrow, just one game.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go.
Noon 10, 12:10, 11:30 coverage, I believe, tomorrow.
Yep, just saw it pop up right here. How about that? No Royals baseball tonight. So I'm guessing, weather.
Yep.
I didn't hear anything before now.
Yeah, inclement weather. So they will push it to August 26th, turn that into a doubleheader.
Well, okay then.
Yeah.
We'll just spend hour number 2 telling you about how great K-State sports is.
Easy enough.
Extended Stump the Shaw?
Oh, brother.
This guy, the ego. Again, every week.
He's coming for you.
This has created a monster.
He's coming for you.
I think there's some Eminem lyrics. I just don't remember all of them, so I'm not going to go start rapping or anything.
And we could also get a sneak peek of the Mitch Fortner Top 100 theme songs list.
I do not have that even close to being done.
All right, then. Well, I tried.
I don't have one, other than I know my number 1, but I don't have...
Well, we don't want to know number 1. We just want to know how the list is going, I guess.
Okay, coming up at 5:40, I'm going to tell you how well my list is going.
Yeah, there we go. One segment.
A little quick preview. It's going all right. There's your teaser. Welcome to the game, Mitch Fortner, Trey Coverdale, and AJ Shaw. And we'll bring you 2 hours of the show today. Now, all of a sudden, impromptu hour coming up here and at 5 o'clock. We'll figure out something to talk about. Meanwhile, here in hour number 1, 4 to 5 o'clock, talk a little Cats, talk a little Chiefs. Could they be playing at the same time in December? We're talking football. K-State football, not just basketball.
So we're going to run the gamut potentially of conflicting with high schools on Friday night to conflicting with the Chiefs on a Sunday or Saturday.
And it'll be a home game for the Chiefs.
Wow.
A pretty big one.
Wow.
Guys, it's Wednesday, and you know what that means. AEW Dynamite tonight from Troy's former stomping grounds in the area, Loveland, Colorado.
Ooh, they're at Blue
Arena. That's right. I didn't look it up earlier. Is it like a hockey arena?
It is. It's and they've renovated it to where it's more of a hardcore hockey arena. The AHL team for the Avalanche plays there.
Well, good for them. They get the return of MJF to Dynamite, the best talker in wrestling today. He'll be bringing the blueberry scarf, maybe. But we're also 3.5 weeks out from Forbidden Door, June 30th, from Long Island, New York. That also means it is K-State Online Day. And today we're going to really focus on recruiting as we have a recruiting specialist from K-State Online. Drew Galloway joins us here on the show. Drew, I really appreciate your time. Have you been keeping up with the Batcats and their success they've had so far this postseason?
Oh, yeah, it's been a blast to watch the Batcats so far this postseason. It's been fun watching them all season. It's been a little frustrating at times, but they're really peaking at the right time, which I think has been the fun thing. And it seems like they're really built for tournament play, having Owen Borama and having Jackson Wentworth being 2 really good starting pitchers and only needing to win 2 games to really get where they needed to be in the regional. Now you just need 2 games of really good pitching to win the super regional. So I'm excited to see how this weekend goes.
Friday is the first game of the Super Regional at Virginia, which is a 6 o'clock Central Time first pitch. Pre-game coverage 5:30 on Friday here on News Radio KMAN. Yeah, excited as well. Great to have Ty Rule back and at full go. I think that's also a big game changer as well because he was chalked up to be a weekend starter heading into the season, and he missed nearly 2 months because of an arm injury. And Chuck Ingram is hitting. Yeah, K-State has hit its stride. They're now at their best. They're playing their best baseball at the right time. Meanwhile, let's look at basketball for just a moment. Want to get your 2 cents on Ugonna Onyensu becoming the 12th player for this upcoming K-State basketball team for Jerome Tang, the big man transfer from Kentucky. How big of a get in more than one way is this for K-State?
Yeah, I think it's a really big get for K-State. Ugonna Onyensu is somebody that I kind of tabbed as kind of like the diet version of Clifford Amore, who K-State was really in on and ended up going to Alabama. I think that he can really be a defensive anchor for K-State. He blocks a lot of shots in 24 games, and with like 14 starts, he was third in SEC in total blocks, and would have, if he played enough games, would have qualified to be the number 1 shot blocker in the SEC in blocks per game. I think that he can do a little bit of everything. He's a little bit of a project, though, on the offensive end, but on the defensive end is where he really, really shines. And you kind of get to see probably the ceiling of him was that Florida game on January 31st, where he had 13 points, 16 rebounds, and 8 blocks with 9 offensive rebounds. I think that that's probably the ceiling game for him where he can really, really take off. And I think that playing at K-State, too, he'll have the ability to get the ball and probably more fortuitous opportunities on the offensive end than he got at Kentucky. Because if you really watch Kentucky last year, they didn't really run any plays for him. And it was mostly like he would get the ball off an offensive rebound and score if that's how he was going to score. Where at K-State, I could see a lot of opportunities for him on drives from somebody like Doug McDaniel or CJ Jones or even Max Jones driving in and dropping it down low to Onyensu and kind of letting him go to work from there.
Is it Onyensu or Onyensu? I've been going. I think Mason was saying Sue, but I'm not exactly 100%.
You know that's the good question. A good question, and something that like I'm really looking forward to, like when the pronunciation guide comes out, because there's some difficult names to pronounce. I know that. Brennan Hausen's name, I was pronouncing Hausen for the longest time until the video came out. I believe it was 2 days ago.
Same thing happened to me. I even had him here on the show. We had a great conversation, and 2 or 3 times I said Hausen. He did not correct me, which is a nice thing for him to do. I think I would have rather just been embarrassed and swallowed some pride if he would have just corrected me. That way I would at least know before that video came out, but the guy's a big fishing guy. He wants to know where the best bass fishing locations are, so I'm not exactly up to date on that. But if you do like fishing, you know where the best bass spots are, let Brendan Hausen know where those locations are.
Somebody's got to let DJ Giddens know that he's got a fishing partner.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. DJ's a big fisherman. I can't remember who it was that gave him the fishing question. It was a good one last year. We're speaking with Drew Galloway from K-State Online. We're talking a lot of recruiting. Let's stick with basketball here. We'll talk some football coming up here a little bit later on with Drew. So now, actually, real quick, on Ugonna real quick. Let me backtrack just a little bit because there's another question I wanted to ask. You had mentioned the shot blocking, and I agree with you. He's 7 foot, 7'4" wingspan. He's going to block a lot of shots, and he's got that athletic ability to move. Is there a single thing about his game, either from his athleticism or his defense, that does impress you the most?
I think that the one thing that you would probably like to see a little bit more from him is continued growth rebounding-wise, because the rebounding numbers don't necessarily wow you right now off the rip. But I think that some of that has to do with only playing 18 minutes at Kentucky. And I think that with further minutes and more conditioning, and if he gets in that 20, 25-minute range, I think that he can pull in 6-7 rebounds a game.
Yeah, he's going to haul those in if you give him some more minutes, that's for sure. Boy, and I love, if you watch his highlight film, I pulled one up on YouTube today just to kind of refresh my memory. I've been watching a lot of highlights lately of this team and how exciting this team is going to be this upcoming season. A dangerous team, I think, if they really gel well together. This is a rim runner.
Yes.
If you want to get out and run, he might be the fastest guy on the floor. Long legs, 7 feet, I get it. But tall guys like that, more often than not, they're not going to boogie down the floor like that. I mean, Zach Edey's a great example of that, and he's one of the more dominant guys in college basketball the last few years, but I don't know where he clocks in, but he can run baseline to baseline pretty quickly.
Yeah, he's kind of like that new age 5 where he is big, but he's also super athletic, and actually a lot of his points, if you really kind of track where his points came from, if it wasn't off of a putback, it was more than likely in transition and when he was rim running. So I think that will be something that really kind of is where he will shine. And I think that just because he's big, you really have to respect how athletic he is, because he's somebody that can also switch out and guard a point guard or a shooting guard as well.
Speaking of Drew Galloway from K-State Online, so one scholarship left. Still, you think the coaching staff planning on that to be a wing, small forward, power forward type?
Yeah, it seems to be a wing would probably be what they would want the most. Another combo guard also wouldn't shock me. I think that this is kind of like if they can find like a 2 or a 3 or a 3 or a 4, you're kind of in that sweet spot of what's something that K-State would want. So I'm really intrigued to see what this final spot ends up being, because it could be a number of players.
A number of players where there are still some that fit that description when it comes to who are the best players still left in the transfer portal. You have a Coleman Hawkins from Illinois, Jameer Watkins from Florida State. Those are a couple of names that have just kind of been thrown out there for a while now on K-State talking to them and potentially, you never know, becoming a Wildcat. But also you think about, what does K-State have NIL-wise? They still have the money they would need to go get a player like that. I mean, assuming they do, which I think they do, because if they're recruiting those guys, they probably do, I would think. But what do you like about K-State's chances to not, with the last 2 spots, not just get 1, but maybe 2 of the best players left in the transfer portal?
I think that with Jameer Watkins, it's kind of you want to wait and see where it goes, because he is currently visiting Michigan, and then he has a St. John's visit as well on the docket for the next few days. So that's one where K-State probably has to survive both of those visits to see if he can get to Manhattan and then take a visit. Coleman Hawkins is somebody that will be at Louisville this weekend. If K-State survives that one, you kind of like where K-State's chances go from there, because it feels like there's a lot of smoke kind of building on Coleman Hawkins and K-State. And I think that he's kind of the most intriguing option. Like, I really like Jameer Watkins and what he can do on the basketball court, but having Coleman Hawkins be that wing and be that 3 to go with Achor and to go with Ugonna Onyenso, I think that that's something that is really intriguing to me, because K-State goes from one of the smaller teams to now that front line would be enormous with Hawkins, Achor, and Ugonna Onyenso.
I think I asked DY this question a few weeks ago, but Drew, do you have a favorite player that K-State's added that you are most excited to see play in, let's see, we're about 4 months out still?
I think that my favorite player has been Achor, because I think that he can do a little bit of everything on the offensive and defensive end, and I don't think that he's necessarily hit his ceiling yet. And he's a little bit of that Naquan Tomlin type forward, where he's super athletic, super raw, can shoot a little bit. The thing that I would kind of pause a little bit with him is that I think that he needs to find an ability to get his shot off quicker, because his shot isn't necessarily the quickest, but it's been really efficient. So he's good enough shooting to respect it, though. But I think that he is somebody that could be really, really fun, because I don't think that he has hit where he necessarily has peaked out basketball-wise yet.
Speaking with Drew Galloway from K-State Online, let's take our break. When we come back, we'll now switch our direction to K-State football. The camp schedule has already started. There's one camp in the books. We'll get Drew's take from what has taken place in early camp season for the Cats. Maybe are there some future Cats coming out of that first camp? We'll ask Drew about those details when we come back. All right, we are back. Mitch Fortner, Trey Coverdale, AJ Shaw. No Royals baseball tonight. They were scheduled to have pregame coverage at 5 o'clock, but they've been postponed. They are playing at Cleveland. So that means we're giving you a full 2 hours, and we're going to figure out something to talk about in hour number 2. Nothing planned, obviously. Not planning on that hour of the show, but we'll bring you a second hour bonus coverage, or, your regular coverage here on News Radio KMAN. What's up, AJ?
Yeah, doubleheader August 26th. First game will be played at 1:10 that afternoon.
And I looked it up on the calendar. That would have been our first episode of Wildcat Insider for 24-25.
Oops.
So maybe we'll just move it to that Tuesday.
There you go.
All right, we're continuing on as we're speaking with Drew Galloway from K-State Online. We continue our discussion about K-State recruiting. We just talked about basketball. Now let's transition to football, Drew, as K-State football camps got underway very recently, and great opportunity for K-State to evaluate talent at the high school level for the upcoming recruiting classes, including 2025. Now, you did attend that first camp, did you not?
I've been at both camps so far.
Okay, so there's been 2 so far.
Yes, there was one last Friday and then one last Sunday.
All right, well, give me your evaluation. What all did you get to watch being at those camps?
I believe the first camp was actually last Thursday, but there was a lot of talent there, and probably the most offers I've seen K-State give out after a camp to not just 2025 prospects, but 2026 prospects. I believe that there was double-digit offers that went out, a few preferred walk-on opportunities. So it was a really talented group, and probably the best that I've seen at a K-State camp so far, with lots of standouts like Andrew Williams from Kirksville, Missouri, and Nelson McGuire from Texas, 2 offensive linemen that received offers there. He didn't participate in the camp Sunday or Thursday because of an injury, but Tyron Parker from Shawnee Heights High School is somebody to really know about in the 2026 class that could contend for the top player in the state. And Sunday, another local kid and from K-State's backyard, J.J. Dunnigan, was in attendance and was one of the best players in the camp on Sunday as well.
Well, watching him play corner last year for Manhattan High, just a sophomore, very electric player, very good player. May see him play maybe both ways. Play some wide receiver this upcoming season for Manhattan High, but we'll see how that plays out. But I'm not surprised to hear JJ's name come up recently. I'm glad he got to show off his talent this past week. So when you say a bunch of offers, like, are you able to give us a number or a ballpark on how many offers in that first camp?
The first camp, I believe it was like 9 or 10 offers, and then probably 4 or 5 preferred walk-on opportunities. And the typical camp, like a good camp, is usually in that like 4 or 5 offer range. So to see how many offers went out Thursday night, it was pretty crazy to really think about and see all of that go down. But I could tell, and kind of got told a little bit before the camp began and leading up to the camp Thursday, that it was going to be one of the better camps that they've had, and they definitely delivered on that front.
Speaking with Drew Galloway from K-State Online, so it is June. You expect the momentum for the 2025 class with commitments to pick up, and you're hearing the offers now going out there. It's not just them, though. Recently, Drew, you gave a prediction that you expect a 4-star wide receiver in Adonis Moisey from IMG Academy to pick the Cats. Do you still feel like that prediction still has that steam and is trending in the right direction?
Yes, I believe that K-State is really trending well for Adonis Moise, and probably have for the last probably 2 months now. I think that he was offered in late March when he came to a spring football practice. And really since then, it's been full steam ahead, not just for K-State with him, but also him with K-State. So there's been really strong mutual interest with each other. And I think that where the recruitment is really trending and where you can see it really kind of start to come together and think that this could be it, where he just shuts it down after the official visit, is he was originally scheduled to take an official visit to K-State June 21st through the 23rd, but bumped up the visit because I think that he wants to get out in front of a few of the other wide receivers that K-State has coming in. I know that they already had one in Jalen Cooper come on an official visit last weekend. So I think that he wants to come into Manhattan and kind of see everything again and go on the official visit, could commit and just shut it down so he beats out the other wide receivers that K-State is going after.
Now, recently, Drew, on K-State Online, I believe it was your article that just put out a list on who you could possibly see committing to K-State. Don't want to obviously give the full list, but of those that might be coming up soon, potentially, who else would be on that list? Give us a couple of names on who you might think could be coming Cats soon.
See, this is a fun one because it was a long list, and I was talking with Mason, and we were kind of talking about how we think that I kind of undersold because K-State's on the doorstep for a lot of prospects. But the one that I think everybody should really know about is Ashton Moore, the younger brother of Austin Moore. And I think that with K-State offering him, I think that he's somebody that could really get through everything and just shut it down right away, because a lot of times with a legacy like that, and especially with somebody that has been so enriched in the program like Austin Moore has, you don't see a lot of other schools offer somebody like that because they think that they're kind of wasting their time. We kind of saw that with Camden Beebe in the 2023 class. Like, that's why he didn't get offers from anywhere else. Another player that is from out of state that I think that people should really kind of keep in mind in these next few weeks is Jaden Bradley, a safety from Texas. He was somebody that was just offered recently at a mega camp in Texas where the coaches went down and saw him play and then offered him, and he's in the works of scheduling an official visit to K-State. And I think that once an official visit gets scheduled, I think that fireworks could really ensue with him as well.
Well, make sure to go subscribe K-State Online to get that full list of potential commitments coming up for K-State football. Their camps do continue. They have two of them coming up on June 7th. There's an elite skill and big skill camp, followed by a specialist camp, offensive defensive line camp June 9th, another elite camp June 23rd, and specialist camp June 23rd as well. Let's see here. Anything else you want to share about recruiting that we haven't touched on? Because, again, momentum is starting to pick up, and it's already, obviously, with basketball, it's been pretty crazy and a lot of fun to follow with K-State Online. But with football, anybody else that we should mention that you feel like the listeners should know?
I think that everybody should really know about Lucas Algier from St. Louis, an offensive lineman that will be at K-State this weekend on an official. I think that K-State's been turning really well for him as well. And it wouldn't surprise me if he was to commit to K-State this weekend either. I know that it's K-State and Iowa for Lucas Algier, and I think that K-State has kind of been in the lead for a while now. So it's all about kind of driving it home on the official visit. But I'll just say that it should be a pretty fun month and a half, because sometimes you see all these official visits take place, but then nobody ends up committing until like that July 4th through like the 11th, like that week. But I think that it'll be a pretty fun month and a half of recruiting, and I think that there's a chance that K-State could be at like that 12, 13, 14 commitments in the 2025 class after probably mid-July.
All right, Drew, before we wrap up, I want to give you one on-the-spot thinker before we let you go. For K-State football in 2024, who will have the most rushing touchdowns?
Ooh, see, I think that it'll be DJ Giddens. I think that he's going to be the guy that brings it home. And I think that it's more likely that K-State kind of gets to the 10-yard line and just feeds DJ than running Avery Johnson or Dylan Edwards.
But who knows if they're going to even have a whole lot of snaps in that red zone when you have that three-headed monster back there in that K-State offense. I think it was Andy Staples, also from On 3, that was doing having a conversation about K-State's floor and ceiling for the upcoming season. I heard another podcast as well when they talk about K-State. Like, there's not even a single mention of defensive play. It's all about Avery Johnson, Dylan Edwards, and DJ Giddens and about how deadly that offense is going to be. And hardly any mention of the wide receivers.
I know, and the crazy thing for me right now is that I think that this could be one of the best defenses that K-State has in the Chris Klieman era, too. So the defense has been so under the radar this spring and kind of leading up to the fall, but I think that the defense will be really, really good.
If you had one question, as in you're not sure about the defense, what would it be?
I think it would probably have to be the defensive line, just because I really like the talent that's in both the defensive end and defensive tackle room. But I think that the one hang up for me of why I could see it being a little bit more of a slower burn with them is that a lot of that talent is pretty inexperienced. Like Travis Bates hasn't played at the FBS level yet. Chidi Obiaizer only played in 2 games last season. Jordan Allen didn't play in a game last year. So I think that you have all this talent, but I think that it's a little bit inexperienced, so you're going to see a little bit of growing pains. But I think it'll end up being one of the strengths near the end of the season. But I think at the beginning of the season, that's probably going to be where the biggest weakness is on K-State's defense.
Drew, good stuff, and I really appreciate your work on K-State Online. Go subscribe to K-State Online to get Drew's work and everybody else from K-State Online keeping us up to date on what's going on with the Cats. Drew, appreciate your time. Really good work. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
It's Drew Galloway from K-State Online joining us here on The Game. Last time we talked to him was 4 months ago, and I was like, it's time to get Drew on. Let's get Drew on. Let's talk some recruiting. And, of course, it's K-State Online Day every Wednesday to kick off the 4 o'clock hour, the first hour of the show. We weren't planning on 2 hours today, but the Royals are postponed, so no game today in Cleveland. So we'll bring you a full 2 hours. When we come back, could K-State and the Chiefs be playing at the same time in December?
And we don't mean a basketball game up against it.
Well, the game continues. Mitch Fortner, A.J. Shaw, Troy Coverdale. We've learned the last couple of weeks A.J. smarter than Troy.
Oh, stop it.
And that's where the ego's continuing to grow for A.J. and stump the Shaw on Mondays.
I am not smarter than Troy, period.
For crying out loud.
I mean, Troy probably knows more about, music, movies, politics.
Yes. On all 3.
Baldness.
Listen.
I went too far.
Just because I'm not just the president of Hair Club for Men, I'm a member. I'm kidding.
He may not be the stallion he was 30 years ago, but he's still Troy Coverdale, baby.
You do understand that, baldness has to do with high testosterone levels.
Oh, is that what it is?
Mm-hmm. That's
I thought
what
it was
it
just
is.
genes and,
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, there's that too.
Wherever in somewhere overseas your ancestors came from. Like I've said, you're bald, but bald folks have the best shaped heads, and Troy's got a good shaped head.
Yeah, thank you.
Earlier today, the College Football Playoff announced its schedule for now the 12-team field. So you'll have the 4 on-site games in middle of December. Then you have quarterfinals, and then semifinals. And then the national championship game. Listen, K-State football, and I'm not the first to say this. I've seen the clips going around on social media talking about the floor and the ceiling for K-State. There is no doubt this season, and if you're from K-State football, you're listening right now, turn the channel for just a moment. Don't need to be building any egos like AJ's over here. Let's keep that chip on the old shoulder. The ceiling for this team is the college football playoff, especially with the expansion.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter with now, the Big Ten and SEC being what it is. The Big 12 is going to get somebody in there. maybe 2, you never know. But for sure 1. Why not that be K-State? Why not us? It's not just baseball, it's football as well. Why not us? College football playoff. Now, unless you're a top 4 seed, you're going to be playing in that first round, and you're going to need to get 4 victories to bring home that national championship instead of 2, the way it used to be. Now, what's interesting is that, that's also part of the time of the NFL schedule where things are starting to wind down since the college football regular season has wrapped. Now the NFL is going to play a few games on Saturdays. Now that there's some more room, but that's also going to be different now with the college football playoff extending to 12. That first round, and again, that's the on-site games. So the higher seed would be hosting the lower seed. December 20th and 21st. ABC and ESPN will televise games that Friday and Saturday. And there will also be games on TNT. They'll have an afternoon game on Friday and Saturday. Or on Saturday, they'll have an afternoon game, which is going to kick off at 11 a.m. K-State seems to get its fair share of 11 a.m. games.
Right.
Cats host Bill Snyder Family Stadium. Well, guess who also plays, but an hour later? The Kansas City Chiefs hosting the Houston Texans, which is a pretty big game.
I have a little bit of problems with the NFL playing on Saturdays. I don't like it. College football is for Saturdays, NFL is for Sundays and Monday nights.
Well, let's remember, that's bowl season time. There's room available to maximize their viewing.
You have to understand that this was something that when you got to that point of the season in college football, there was nothing on Saturdays at that point. Because in the old, and I mean the days that we were carving the schedule on rocks era.
When Troy was in grade school.
I was making the joke well ahead of anybody else doing it.
Yep.
You didn't have all the bowl games.
Yeah.
You didn't have all of the ESPN-owned bowl games that were automatically there for their programming.
So it's a money thing, basically.
So the NFL was filling time on those Saturdays. They took it as an opportunity just to put a couple of games on Saturday to draw some different eyeballs instead of just seeding Saturdays to college basketball at that point. It just kept football in that spot.
Yeah.
That's where that began. And it's why the NFL has never given it up, because they've gotten the ratings from it because it worked at that point, to the point that they added the Saturday night game and some different things along those lines. They have just as much claim really to those dates in December as what college football has had all time.
That'll be very interesting to see how first of all, what goes up against the Chiefs and Texans. I mean, that is a big game. You're talking about, what is that, week 16 of the NFL schedule? I'm not exactly sure. Maybe week 17. It's probably week 17. And the college football playoff first round, Friday, December 20th at 7. That's the only Friday game. They'll have 3 games on that Saturday. And the NFL is going to have 2 games on that Saturday. The other game is going to be Baltimore and Pittsburgh, which could very well also be a pretty big game. But Saturday, December 21st, you have an 11 a.m. kickoff on TNT. You have a 3 o'clock kickoff on TNT, and then 7 o'clock on ABC or ESPN. That's a part of the agreement with ESPN and the college football playoff, is that ESPN is very jam-packed with programming around that time. So they're able to delegate games to a different network while they're still making some cash.
It is week 16.
Okay. Who would have thunk it?
And then they've got to turn around and play 4 days later, for crying out loud.
Yeah, who would have ever thought that you could play in the Rose Bowl and the Orange Bowl, or the Fiesta Bowl and the Cotton Bowl, or the Sugar Bowl and the Orange Bowl in the same year? You could be bringing both trophies home in the same year. You could be bringing that Superdome Sugar Bowl trophy.
Good grief.
And the Orange Bowl with actual oranges in the trophy back home in the same year. Not to mention the college football playoff trophy, which I'm not a big fan of. I do like the ability to take it apart. You get to hoist something. I don't think you beat the the football from the BCS days. When it comes to trophies, I mean that was pretty big. We could hoist it. What was that trophy made out of? Just glass or whatever it was? But
yes, crystal. Yeah,
it was a dope-looking trophy. It really was.
It was.
At least the football part of it was. The college football playoff trophy just
it's uninspiring.
it doesn't really do it for me. It doesn't really work.
It's kind of along the same lines of some of the minor soccer playoff events, like Copa, where, the
Copa
trophy,
Cabana?
Copa America can be held by one hand, and it looks like a beer stein. I mean, or, just a bad alcohol glass. I mean, it just, yeah.
Maybe that should be the trophy for the Aer Lingus College Football Classic. That's a good-looking trophy. But maybe they went a little too serious with the trophy. It is Ireland. I don't should go just like a giant Guinness beer mug.
Right.
And the winning coach, gets to chug a beer. Although that's a stout. Nobody wants to chug a stout. So maybe we'll workshop that one.
How is that going to work with Chris Kleiman and his affinity for Miller Lite?
That was a good time. That proved to me right there the Pop-Tarts Bowl, or that whatever that name is, that bowl is named after the sponsor. I could go to that bowl another time. When you have some just level 1 worker at the Pop-Tarts Bowl coming into the press conference and tossing Chris Kleiman a Miller Lite like he's Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Yeah, your AD told us that you like this. Told us that this is your favorite. Yeah. So
would have been
it's my
something
kind of
if he
bowl.
had actually done what Stone Cold would do, which is take 2 beers and then do.
I would have signed him to a contract extension right there.
Me too.
You just give him a blank check. Whatever you want, Coach.
Oh, man.
All right, let's take our final break of the hour. We'll finish hour 1 next.
The football one.
That's coming up next, the game. Exactly a minute left for this final segment. I forgot to mention during the college football playoff schedule talk. So the playoff quarterfinals, which would typically be the semifinal dates, you have one game on December 31st. I like that. Just one game on New Year's Eve. Wait till New Year's Day to play the rest. And then the next 3 will be on New Year's Day. Semifinals January 9th, January 10th. The national championship game on Monday, January 20th. So it's basically adding another week to the whole schedule. Quarterfinals: Fiesta Bowl, Peach Bowl, Rose Bowl, Sugar Bowl. Semifinals: Orange Bowl and Cotton Bowl. Cotton Bowl getting that semifinal nod. Probably helps that playing in Jerry World. All right, we'll take a break. Hour 2 the game coming up next. We'll play a little Are the Royals Doing Okay? But when we kick off hour number 2, we're going to hear from Pete Hughes next.